I'm Michelle Tallman, taking the Foundations class, and I am going to share with you my thoughts on the termination issues or procedures that I have read about in Chapter 8 and the article from Jonathan Alpert. Anyway, I want to start with that I thoroughly enjoyed the article by Jonathan Alpert published on April 21st, 2012. He actually eased my mind about the therapeutic process. I too believe therapy doesn't have to be long-term in order to be effective. I was surprised to hear that 11% of clients have more than 20 sessions. I would have guessed that percent to be higher just based on friends and family members. I have known that we're in therapy for longer. I do remember thinking for some of them the therapy wasn't working because of their behaviors did not change, which led me to believe counseling wasn't working. For this reason, I believe the therapist and client need to identify the real issue and determine a course and exit plan as soon as possible to avoid a codependent relationship. Alpert cited a study from the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology published in 2006. Of the nearly 2,000 people who underwent counseling for 1 to 12 sessions, 88% of them improved after just one session. This finding doesn't surprise me, as some people just need a place to vent and a course of action to kind of jumpstart them again. I found it interesting that the rate fell to 62% after 12 sessions, which makes sense because who wants to stay in a state of anxiety and pain for long? I do believe, especially in instances where the problem is situational, that the client can heal quite quickly if given the right tools, skills, and resources and willingness to grow. Another eye-opener for me while reading Chapter 8 was a section on reasons why discussing termination is often avoided. One of those reasons is the associated loss of the relationship, and the other is that termination is not being directly related to the microskills. I never thought of the ending of therapy as a loss. I had looked at the end as a success. The client is able to function on his or her own, and the counselor helped another hurting person. The book really brought the relationship piece to life for me. Reading this reminded me of my own memories of leaving the divorce care group. I was truly torn between not attending or attending. Yes, I agree that terminating is a loss for both client and counselor. I agree that preparing clients for the final session is a must. It will help him or her anticipate the end of the relationship and start mentally preparing for the day when the client is running on his own 2 feet. What I don't agree with is that termination should not be considered one of the microskills. After reading the material, it is stated over and over again the end date should be mentioned, even on the first meeting in some cases. Since the discussion of termination needs to be addressed several sessions before the end, why not make it another part of the microskills? I believe the skill of ending a therapeutic relationship successfully needs to be part of the process. I do like the idea of following up on a client. I think it sends the message that a client is valued and still cared about. I don't agree with emailing a client. That scares me. One never knows what will happen with an electronic written word. I think with permission from the client, I would feel safe with just giving the client a call. I did not agree with the approach used by the therapist in the video. The counselor asked the question what she was feeling about their time together ending. I think this put the client on the spot. I know I would have felt very uncomfortable in that situation. My thinking is it could have been handled less in your face instead of the probing questions to get more out of her. Because what if the client was happy and ready to move on, and she just didn't want to hurt the counselor's feelings and was being polite? So I don't know. I would have probably just asked one open-ended question just to make sure she was okay, and then I would have moved on and asked about the follow-up. Could I follow up and just kind of touch base with you? But what I have learned is that being mindful of that last session is beneficial for both client and counselor, regardless of the reason. How it is handled is an area that I know I need to explore and work on. Thank you. Once again, I'm Michelle Tallman. Thanks.